Wasted it again in margarita.
Cheers.
There's a reason why we're drinking margaritas today as opposed to some kind of rum drink. And today we are going to talk about mugs from a different area that's besides the South Pacific. Where are we going?
We're going to the ancient pre-Columbian Americas. Now, we're going to skip South America because I haven't seen an Inca mug. So South America down in Peru.
Yeah.
So our friends Chris and Christine Lonnie, as we're taping this in July, we're just up at Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu. Wow.
Yeah, in ancient Peru. But I
tell you what, they got around.
They travel. Well, they're the ones who turned me on to Papua New Guinea. So,
yeah, you're going to be going.
So this could be my last taping.
I hope you make it back.
No, they haven't had a...
Because I'm not going to be able to get good drinks anymore.
They haven't had a confirmed episode of cannibalism in a while.
Man, I miss Steven. Yeah, but I really miss his jet pilots. At first, I was going to say, like, what should we call this? As I said, like Aztec mugs? But you're like, no, Mesoamerica. Is that what you said?
Right. So Mesoamerica and what we're...
Mesoamerica.
Yeah. Mesoamerica.
Yeah.
What we're referring to is the pre-Columbian up through the Aztec times and a little bit contemporary of Mexico, Guatemala, a little bit of Honduras, but and the people have heard of Aztecs. Many people have heard of Mayans.
Yeah.
Some people have heard of the Toltecs, Olmecs, Mixtecs, Zapotecs. There's this whole area of different tribes, kingdoms, and empires.
And then the tech bros, right?
Yeah. We're talking about from, I guess, the Olmec period, which are BC, up until the Aztec period, which is the 1500s. So we're talking, 2,000 years of, over 2,000 years of history here. But it has a lot of influence and cultural significance in Mexico and Guatemala and some other countries today. And we can get into it. We'll start talking about the mugs and how I got into it. And then we'll tie it in here because this is about the mugs, not about the history. But we'll throw a little bit of history, not that I'm an expert, as we go along. And we're going to start with a bar in New Orleans that post-COVID, I think they only do special events. They may have closed. They're right near Latitude 29, over a Mexican restaurant, and it's Tiki Tolteca. This is the first Mesoamerican mug that I got. And again, for those of you who don't know me or my home bar, while I like Tiki, I like all things Pan-Pacific. And so having this as an area was really cool. So when I was building up my collection about 5 years ago, pre-COVID, times are, anyway, mix up. I actually went there in New Orleans and was able to purchase this mug, and this is my first, I guess,
this is a great
Mesoamerican mug.
Well, what's Tiki Tolteca like? Because I've never been there.
So again, it's
margarita tiki drinks.
No, it's tiki drinks. I mean, I think they probably do other drinks, but it was more tiki rum drinks. So the ones that I had there were rum drinks. And I just chatted up the bartender, and the bartender at the time made me some off-menu specialties, or guided me. I told him what I liked, and it's an interesting place. It's very sort of shabby chic tiki. A lot of like curtains. I feel like, although it's very high ceilings, I like them in someone's
shabby chic tiki.
Yeah, someone's basement.
I mean, is it cool though?
It was all right. So I got this, and when I was there, one of the bartenders or managers said, "If you love this mug, wait till our next one comes out." And so as soon as the next one come out, I got in mail order Tiki Tolteca's second. I don't know if they've had more than 2 mugs. This mug, another Tiki Farm, the copyright here is 2019, so it's a fairly recent mug. And this mug is so cool, I can't decide whether to display the front or the back.
Well, the front is like a dragon or something?
So a dragon. So the Tolteca people are, this is sort of a proto-Aztec. I mean, none of these maybe Aztec mug and style, but the face on the back, isn't that great?
Look at that.
And that's a classic Mesoamerican sculptural face. And this is sort of an Aztec. So the Tolteca.
Well, I'll tell you what, Stephen. I mean, like, they were right. I mean, that mug is cool, but this is beautiful.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
So I went to school in San Diego State, and their motto, they're the Aztecs. And at the time when I went, their dormitory and apartments were all named after different tribes or kingdoms. But I really didn't know much about Toltecs. But Tiki Tolteca, I actually looked them up, and they were probably between the Mayan and the Aztec. And there's been a lot of controversy about their hidden city, lost city of Tula, T-U-L-A, about the Toltecs. But the Aztecs claim that the Toltecs were their cultural influences, and they got a lot from there. But they bridge between and some people say they may only have been a small kingdom. Others say they were an empire. Some say they may not have existed as a separate people at all. But whatever the case is, having the name Tolteca, and then having using that as a jumping off point to take the Toltec or even Mixtec, another tribe, or Aztec in this mug. This is just a phenomenal mug.
Well, the thing that I'm right off the bat is, before we go any further, it's sort of like, what I love about this, it's sort of like, I've heard of the bar Tiki Tolteca, right? But I've never really put much thought into the word Tolteca. Like, what does that mean? And it's sort of like, oh, that means something. That then there's a whole history, and here's a little piece of it. I mean, as we're going to go through these mugs, you're like, it kind of opens up even for me to like open up. It's like, okay, what's up with this history with all these different cultures?
So
that's the point of all this. You're like, even like when you see a tiki mug, you're like, and it's Ku or Lono, you're like, or something from Papua New Guinea, you're like, okay, well I like that. That's interesting. I want to learn more about that. I want to learn more about that culture. And you're going to be going to Papua New Guinea, dude. I hope you come back, dude. I mean, be safe over there. Just saying.
But yeah, no, you're exactly right, and that's why I love using the motifs of what going from a tiki bar to my Polynesian pop bar, right?
Yeah.
Polynesian pop surrealism is like if there is a theme to this bar, is what it is. And to use history and different cultures as a jumping off point, and that people have taken their art and then used that as a jumping off point for their mugs. So this one is a Jaguar mug. It is from Jacob Medina and I believe David Shark Parker designed this. They have done 3 Mesoamerican influence mugs.
3.
I don't have the first one. The first one, I guess, apparently was really popular, and it was called Kon Tuk, and it sort of is a warrior with the traditional face painting from the Mayan or Mesoamerican periods. Yeah. And this is a little bit more Mayan, which was the Mayan classic civilization. But the Mayans, the Mixtecs, a lot of these cultures had the cult of the jaguar. The jaguar was a potent
cult of the jaguar?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds kick-ass, Steve.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's why these mugs are so amazing.
If I start yet another club, Stephen, it's going to be
called of the jaguar.
It's going to be called Cult of the Jaguar. Can I see this mug? Let me see this.
Now again,
I mean, like, look at this. It's like a tiger.
So it's the jaguar.
But then there's a
warrior and a skull, and they're all consuming each other.
They're all like eating each other.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? But look at the back again. This is another mug, and you see the jungle.
Yeah,
the jungle motif. So Mayans were in the Yucatan Peninsula, primarily down toward the Mexican part, south.
Dude, look at the skulls here too.
But it's got some. I mean, it's intense, right? I mean, there's intensity to it. The guys, when they made this mug, and they just did a great job capturing like I say, the intensity, the detail, and then and I forget the name of this character on the back, right? Yeah. This sort of devilicious, jaguarish, mythological beast.
Did you just say devilicious?
Devilicious, yes.
So you got 2 of the 3.
I've got 2 of the 3.
So this is the 3rd mug.
This is Camazotz. And I had never heard of Camazotz. It's I believe Mayan, and possibly some of these other influences we're talking about, Mesoamerican bat, because bats were a big deal. And so this is a bat, devilish, kind of maybe demigod as well.
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what, Stephen. I mean, green's my favorite color, but like this clay.
This was a hand-painted one.
Hand-painted?
Yeah, so Jacob did limited editions where he painted, or I assume it's hand-painted, he painted different colors. So this one,
so
I
look
think
at
is standard color.
It's the same face as the one that was on the Tiki Tolteca mug.
It's somewhat similar. This one is a little more Aztec or Toltec.
Well, it's the same guy as if he gained a couple pounds. Hey, what's going on in the back there?
So in the back, that's a pyramid. In Mexico, and a lot of people who've toured Mexico will know this, as well. You go and you see these ancient, amazing pyramids.
Yeah.
Some of them, although some of them are buried underground or
Have you been?
Bigger. Not to any of the pyramids, no. What I found interesting both about the pyramid structure and about the face was about the time of the Toltecs, all the way in Cambodia, so we're talking about the other side of the Pacific, the Pan-Pacific, we had people in Cambodia in this Siam Reap and the Angkor region, these famous ruins, were doing similar stuff. And so the next mug, and it gives me a chance to talk about a mug from the other side of the world.
So this isn't from Mesoamerica.
This is from what is today Cambodia.
Cambodia, okay.
Khmer. This is a Trader Brandon mug, Hmong Tiki.
Trader Brandon.
Yep.
Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
And what I love about it is...
I miss you, buddy.
So you see at the time of... So the ancient faces, and there's a professor at Berkeley or UCLA, he's now deceased, but he used to comment on the similarities between the Mayans and the Toltecs and the pyramids, their gods, their demigods, their sculptures, and their faces. So this is a kind of a mashup.
It's not too far away from this face.
Well, that's why I say, I was thinking about the similarities, and I looked up this professor who commented on the similarities.
I would say it's the same face.
They're from different parts of the Pacific, different parts of the world entirely. Even different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to get down to Cambodia versus
Mexico or Guatemala today.
I wonder if there is a connection somehow.
Well, he seemed to think so. This professor was...
I've watched many videos on YouTube where they talk about how a lot of these ancient cultures, they all built pyramids.
Yeah.
And there was no communication, there was no internet back there. So how did they all kind of sort of come up with the same technology, so to speak? And
right.
It's we're all going to build this particular type of building structure. I don't know.
But what's cool about
aliens? I'm not saying it's aliens, but it might be
aliens. But what's cool?
That dude from that show.
Yeah.
You know what, Stephen? I'm serious. As we're talking about all this, it's reminding me of that show that I grew up with, In Search Of, where they would talk about all this stuff, and you're like, "What's going on here? Was there ancient aliens? Was there
the Bermuda Triangle. My brother teases me.
That's why I'll never fly there.
Well, I used to read all the books about the Bermuda Triangle when I was a kid,
and then
why it was debunked and why.
Yeah, it brings up this question. It's was there advanced civilizations, and then did we lose it? I mean, was there advanced civilizations where people had technology way further along than what we could have possibly imagined, and we lost it?
I think the similarities, though, are there's something about human culture and something about human culture before the European Enlightenment and then the invasion of Europe into all these cultures.
Yeah.
That's very similar. So the reason I point out the Mayan, even though this face may be pre-Mayan.
But that face looks exactly like that.
Exactly. But... this face is going to be made out of blocks, and it's going to be sitting high up and it's huge again. And this is going to be more of a big round stone. But both of these are going to weigh tons. And I have a picture here. We can show that.
Yeah, it's right
that
there.
I have here from Cambodia when I went there, because I've actually been. But this jungle climate, this idea of worshiping the sun, this idea of pyramid structures, this idea of the block structures,
yeah.
a lot of similarity. And whether you want to blame aliens or just the way humans react, or as I like to think about how you're going to react in a jungle climate with some of the similar sounds, water problems, because the Mayans died off, and the Khmer people who founded Siam Reap and some of these other Angkor structures, some of them, their civilizations died off. But they did these amazing civilizations. They were religious temples. The Siam Reap, I think, is or is it Angkor Wat? Angkor Wat, I think, is the biggest religious temple in the world. That was Hindu. And these pyramids are the biggest in the world. So there's a lot of something about maybe the human mind or the human culture when you have the ability to harness water, have agriculture, and build a culture. Maybe there's just a lot of similarities about it. I don't know what the similarities are, but it gives me a great chance to, although this is Mesoamerica, talk about this really cool mug.
Yeah, well, but although I would say it fits. But let's move on to this mug.
So this mug is a Mondo Teas mug.
Mondo Teas. Mouth of the Serpent.
Yeah. So
Urban Aztec.
Yeah. I picked it up at a store or online. It was inexpensive. It's probably a mass-produced mug, but even that mug...
It's still cool, though.
It's still
I mean,
cool.
you have like the face, and there's like a dragon or something like that.
Yeah, and what
a lot of eating, like this face is in the dragon's mouth. So,
and what I love about these mugs, all of these mugs, with maybe that one exception, and the next one we'll talk about, all have the backside has cooler than the front.
Absolutely. What's going on
here? The detail here.
Well, look at that. There's an eye.
There's an eye. Sort of like, you know how in the dollar bill there's an eye on the top of a pyramid on the American money? There's something with the Aztec eye going on there.
Yeah.
And this next one is an inexpensive mug I got on Etsy from England. I don't know. I forget.
So it looks like this. It's the same... It's similar design as this last one.
And they claim that's an Aztec influence mug.
Okay.
I just like the glaze on it and the figure.
Yeah, it doesn't really say anything on the bottom.
No. And I think it was made in England.
But it's still a cool mug.
So the last one brings us to sort of today. I think a lot of people have heard of the Day of the Dead, and which is November 1st or 2nd, depending where it's All Saints or All Souls Day, depending where it's celebrated. And the skull and the Day of the Dead is less of a Halloween, whereas the Halloween tradition from Europe is more intended to be scary. The Day of the Dead is where there are representations of people and their past lives in a skeleton form, right? Mm-hmm. And so in some cultures and in some regions, people will have picnics at gravestones to honor their relatives. And if you've ever seen the shops that will sell skeletons of people, so I once had a skeleton of a nurse because my late mother was a nurse, right? Yeah. And so it's to honor your ancestral worship. And so this is a mug by David Lozeau, Lozeau. Sorry, David, if I massacred your name. It's a tiki farm mug. This edition was 2017. I've seen different colors, some amazing colors on this. And like most of these other mugs, the backs has just got an amazing story too. You see the star-crossed lovers, and the Day of the Dead and the heart. And the reason I put that here is that's the Day of the Dead in Mexico and I think Guatemala, maybe Honduras as well, that it was influenced by the Mayans and maybe to a lesser extent the Aztecs. And so the Day of the Dead, which I've always just I had lived a long time in LA, and that whole sort of Day of the Dead, that skeleton, that art, that cultural thing. And by the way, the best tamales usually come out of. If you're ever invited to someone's celebration,
go.
Run. Don't walk, because the food is just
what time?
Phenomenal.
What time will you be there?
Yeah. November 1st, November 2nd. I'll circle it on my calendar and I'll be there. And so it's sort of it's just cool looking in and of its own.
Yes.
An amazing mug. But it also ties into, because historically it has its antecedents in some of all this cool art that we've seen in all of these other mugs. So,
well, all these mugs are beautiful. I mean, like even like you're saying, like this more simpler mug that in fact there's not even anything written on it. But I mean, like, these are all beautiful mugs.
Aren't they? This is the only little set of mugs that I have where I can say, with two exceptions, the backs are as cool as the fronts.
Yeah.
Isn't that? It's just amazing.
Well, another thing too is just like even as you're looking at these mugs, it's like, again, talk about being like a gateway to something. It's like you look at these mugs and you're looking at, especially like these over here, where you're going on the back and you're kind of like, all right, well, what's the story with this dragon? What's that all about? What's going on with the sun? It brings up what's this face that you keep on seeing. And it sparks my imagination. It makes me think, like, okay, well, what is this all about? Well, obviously, these images mean something.
And it drives me to, like, not thoroughly research, but like I say, this bat demigod. So I had to look that up and think about that. And I haven't even explored it
Now that would be a cool name for their cult, the bat demigods.
And the thing about the Mayan and the Aztecs and some of these other peoples is, there really was a lot of human sacrifice, a lot of war, a lot of this, what we would today call the goth, or sometimes even gory.
I don't know if there's any just human sacrifices going on in goth. Just saying.
Just saying.
It's just people that like the Cure and the House.